It all came to a head one thunder-heavy night, when secrets that once hid behind hay bales and half-whispers met the hard light of a porch lantern. Bo stood in the shadows, Anna on the steps, and Mr. Tom on the porch, 3 hearts, one storm, and no place left to run. The wind howled like it knew their names, the fence creaked like it had seen too much, and love stood trembling where rules had drawn their line. Voices rose, truths cracked open, and the night held its breath like a church before a sermon. What happened next? Well, that's the part folks still whisper about. The sun rose over the wide fields like a slow golden song. Bo wiped the sweat from his brow, though the day had just begun. He was a strong young man with kind eyes and a quiet way about him. He came to the farm 2 summers ago, carrying nothing but a torn bag and a stubborn will to work. Since then, he had become part of the land, like the fence posts, like the old oak near the well, like the wind that rolled through the corn. Anna was the farmer's only daughter, the apple of her father's eye and the secret ache in Bo's chest. She had hair the color of wheat just before harvest and a laugh that rose like birds after the rain. She would walk through the fields sometimes, barefoot, with her skirt gathered in her hands, humming old hymns her mama used to sing. Bo would steal quick glances when he thought no one was looking. He never spoke more than a few words to her. "Good mornin', Miss Anna." But those few words burned in his chest all day like warm embers. Old Mr. Carter, her father, was a proud man. He worked hard, prayed loud, and ruled his farm like a captain at sea. To him, Bo was just a hired hand, a strong back, nothing more. He didn't see the way Bo's eyes softened when Anna passed by. He didn't hear the quiet way Bo whispered her name at night when he thought no soul could hear. But the land has ears, and the wind carries whispers. And on that farm, something was shifting slow, steady, like the deep roll of a coming storm. One afternoon, as the sun began to dip low, Anna came to the well with a bucket. Bo was fixing the fence nearby. Their eyes met, just for a heartbeat. It was quiet, too quiet. It started with little things. She'd bring an extra cup of lemonade to the well when she knew he'd be there. He'd fix her father's gate a little faster, so she wouldn't have to wait outside too long. She'd drop her handkerchief, and he'd pick it up like it was spun gold. No one said much, but their silences were louder than any Sunday sermon. Then came the evening of the summer dance at the town barn. Folks from all around were invited. The place would be lit with lanterns, the fiddles would sing, and hearts would find rhythm. Anna was excited, she loved the dances. Bo had never gone before. Farmhands didn't usually mix with the fine families. But that night, something pulled him. He watched. Mr. Carter's hand was like iron on Bo's shoulder. His face was tight, eyes narrowed beneath the brim of his hat. The music in the barn didn't stop, but it sounded far away now, like it was echoing down a long tunnel. Anna froze beside Bo, her fingers curling around the folds of her dress. "Well now," Mr. Carter said slowly, each word like a boot crunching gravel. "Didn't expect to see you here, Bo." Bo swallowed. His heart thudded against his ribs like a hammer on wood. "Just came for the music, sir." Mr. Carter's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Music's good, but this ain't your place, son. Best you remember that." The air grew heavy. Folks nearby pretended not to watch, but their eyes flickered like lantern flames. Anna took a small step forward, her voice trembling but clear. "Pa, he's done nothing wrong." "That's enough, Anna." Mr. Carter cut her off sharply. "Ain't no daughter of mine gonna be seen cozying up to a hired hand at a town dance. Not now. Not ever." Bo's jaw tightened. He wasn't a man of many words, but his silence carried weight. He tipped his hat slowly, like a man bowing to a storm he couldn't fight, and stepped back. "Yes, sir." Anna's eyes glistened like river water in moonlight. She wanted to speak, but her father's glare stopped her cold. Mr. Carter turned. She stood on the porch, watching him work the fields with quiet fire in her eyes. She wasn't the timid girl by the well anymore. Her father's harsh words had struck something stubborn in her heart. The same stubbornness she inherited from him. She wasn't about to let her feelings be trampled under farm rules. Around noon, when the heat made the air shimmer, she walked down to the fence where Bo was mending a broken plank. Her steps were quick, her heartbeat quicker. "Bo," she called softly. He looked up, wiping his hands on his trousers. "Miss Anna," he said, that same careful voice he always used, though inside him everything roared. "You ain't done nothin' wrong," she said. "Pa was harsh last night. Too harsh." Bo shook his head slowly. "He's your pa, and I'm just—" He glanced at the fields, at the cracked earth under his boots. "I know my place." Her eyes flashed. "And what if your place is right here, beside me?" The wind went still. Even the birds seemed to pause. Bo's breath caught. He wanted to believe it. Lord, he wanted to. But the world didn't bend easy for folks like him. "Anna," he whispered, dropping the miss for the first time. "Your pa'd burn this farm down, for he lets that happen." She stepped closer, close enough to smell the faint trace of hay and sweat on his shirt. "Then maybe the fire's already started," she whispered back. For a long, trembling moment, their eyes locked. Something silent passed between them. A promise, a warning, maybe both. Then the sound of boots crunching on gravel broke the spell. Mr. Carter's boots hit the ground with a rhythm that made the fence line go quiet. He had the kind of walk that warned a man before the words ever came. Bo straightened up, hat in hand, sweat tracing slow lines down his temple. Anna stood a few steps away, heart drumming in her chest like a loose shutter in the wind. "Well now," Mr. Carter said, his voice slow and dangerous. "Seems like y'all got real chatty out here." Bo opened his mouth, but Anna spoke first. "Pa, I was just a skin Bo about the fence. It's got cracks." "I can see the cracks," Mr. Carter cut in, his eyes not leaving Bo, "and I can see something else too." Bo kept his gaze low. He'd faced storms, hard work, even hunger. But this was different. This was a man's pride standing like a loaded gun. "You been doing good work," Mr. Carter continued. "Real good. But I don't want no misunderstandings on my land. You work. She stays up at the house. That's how it's always been. That's how it'll stay." Anna flinched at his words, but Bo nodded slowly. "Yes, sir," he said. The words tasted like dry dust in his mouth. "Good," Mr. Carter said, stepping closer. "A man can lose his place real quick if—" The days that followed grew tense, like air before a summer storm. Mr. Carter started watching closer, stopping by the fields more often, showing up suddenly at the well, questioning who talked to who. Bo kept his head down, but his eyes always found Anna's without meaning to. One afternoon, while Bo was hauling sacks of feed into the barn, Anna slipped in through the back door. Her cheeks were flushed, her breath quick. "I can't keep pretendin'," she whispered. Bo set down the sack slowly. "Anna, this ain't safe." "I don't care," she said, stepping closer. "I've never felt something so strong. I'd rather risk everything than live like a ghost in my own house." His chest tightened. She meant it, every word. He reached out, almost without thinking, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. It was the smallest touch, but in that moment, it felt like the whole world shifted. Then a door slammed outside. They froze. Mr. Carter's voice boomed from the yard. "Bo, you in there?" Bo's heart pounded like a drum. Anna's eyes widened. The barn, once quiet, suddenly felt like a trap. Bo's hands were rough, but in that moment they shook like a leaf caught in a sudden wind. Mr. Carter's voice echoed again outside the barn, closer this time. "Bo, you best answer me, boy." Anna's breath came in quick, soft gasps. She grabbed his arm. "Hide," she whispered. "I can't hide in my own workspace," he muttered. "You got no choice," she hissed, pushing him toward the far stall. Without thinking, he slipped behind the haystack just as the barn door swung open. Mr. Carter stepped in, boots kicking up dust, lantern in hand. The glow threw long shadows across the walls. Anna stood by the feed sacks, trying to steady her voice. "Anna," Mr. Carter said slowly, "what are you doing in here?" I was just looking for the new rope," she replied, eyes flicking toward the shelves. "Bo's been using it, I think." Mr. Carter scanned the room like a hawk. His lantern light slid over the stalls, the tools, the hay. Bo held his breath so tight his chest hurt. "I don't like you wandering round the barn this late," Mr. Carter said, stepping further in. "Ain't proper." Anna forced a small laugh. "It's just the barn. Pa ain't no ghosts in here." He didn't laugh. Instead, he turned toward the stall. For one terrible second, Bo thought their eyes would meet. But just then, a rat scurried across the floor. Mr. Carter swung his lantern toward the noise and spat. "Nasty things." He turned back toward Anna. "Get on back to the house. And you tell Bo I'm looking for him come mornin'. We got work that won't wait." She nodded quickly and followed him out. Bo stayed behind the haystack long after the door shut, his heart thumping like hooves on a bridge. He'd never hidden from a man before, it made his pride ache. But for her, he'd done it. Out in the fields, the cicadas screamed like the world knew something big was coming. The next morning came bright but uneasy. The sky was clear, but Bo's mind was cloudy. He couldn't shake the feeling that Mr. Carter's eyes were sharper now. They worked side by side, fixing fences and hauling lumber. Mr. Carter barely spoke, but when he did, his words were clipped. "You're a hard worker, Bo," he said once, wiping his brow. "Hard work earns a man a place, but it don't earn him everything." Bo nodded silently, every word landing heavy in his chest. Later that afternoon, Anna rode down to the river on her chestnut mare. She often went there when the house walls felt too tight. Bo was sent to fetch water from the same river. It wasn't planned, but fate had a way of weaving paths. They met by the old willow tree, its branches dipping low into the water. For a moment, it felt like the world had exhaled. "Last night was too close," Bo said quietly. "I know," Anna whispered, "but I can't stop seeing you." He set the bucket down slowly. "If your pa finds out, it won't end with a scolding. He'll run me clean off this land, maybe worse." She dismounted, standing close enough to see the worry etched in his face. "Bo, listen to me. I'd rather face pa's wrath than live my life pretendin' I don't love you." The word love hit the air like thunder. Bo stared at her, stunned. She'd said it plain, without tremble, like a truth that had been waiting too long. His throat tightened. "Anna," he breathed, her name soft as a prayer. The river gurgled. The willow swayed. For one stolen heartbeat, they stood together beneath the branches, the world shrinking down to just two souls. But across the water, unseen by them, a farmhand named Earl was watching. His eyes narrowed. And by nightfall, those eyes would be talking. Earl was the kind of man who noticed things other folks didn't. He'd been working on Mr. Carter's farm longer than Bo, and though he wasn't mean, he carried a streak of envy as wide as the river itself. He'd seen Bo's quick rise, how Mr. Carter trusted him with work most hands didn't get, how Anna's eyes lingered a touch too long. Earl didn't like it, not one bit. That evening, Earl leaned against the porch rail with a piece of straw in his mouth, watching the sunset bleed red across the sky. Mr. Carter came out, rubbing his sore back. "Long day," Mr. Carter muttered. Earl nodded. "Always is, sir." Silence stretched between them like a tight rope. Then Earl spoke, slow and easy. "I was down by the river earlier." Mr. Carter's head turned. "That so?" "Yeah," Earl continued, squinting at the horizon. "Saw something unusual. Bo was down there. And your girl too. Looked close." Mr. Carter's jaw tightened. "Close how?" Earl shrugged. "Close enough to make a man wonder what's going on when he ain't looking." The air changed. Mr. Carter's eyes darkened like storm clouds gathering over dry land. "You sure about this?" Earl met his gaze. "I don't lie, sir." Mr. Carter didn't say another word. He turned and walked back into the house, but his steps were hard, like thunder rolling over hills. Earl watched him go, a mix of guilt and satisfaction stirring inside him. Meanwhile, Bo and Anna were both back in their separate quarters, carrying the warmth of their river meeting in their hearts. Neither of them knew the ground beneath their feet had just cracked. "And in return, I expect respect. Boundaries. A man ought to know where he stands." Bo's throat tightened. He felt the trap closing. "I heard something," Mr. Carter continued. "Heard you been spending time with my daughter down by the river. That true?" Bo opened his mouth, but before he could speak, Anna appeared at the top of the porch steps. "Pa!" "Anna, go back inside," Mr. Carter snapped. "No," she said firmly. "I won't." The air went still. Mr. Carter stared at her like he was looking at a stranger. "You disobeying me now?" "I'm speaking the truth," she shot back. "I love him." The words hung in the air like a bell that couldn't be unrung. Earl's eyes widened. Bo's breath caught. Mr. Carter's face changed, shock first, then fury. "You what?" he thundered. "I love him," she repeated, voice shaking but strong. Bo stepped forward. "Sir, I didn't mean no disrespect." "I never." Mr. Carter cut him off. "You stay away from her. You hear me, boy? Stay away." Bo stood his ground. His heart pounded, but something inside him had shifted too. "With all due respect, sir, you can't fence in the wind." For a moment, the two men stared at each other, one with fire in his chest, the other with a love he couldn't deny. Anna stood between them like the eye of a storm. Then Mr. Carter spat on the ground. "Finish the week, then pack your things. You're done here." Bo felt the words hit like a hammer. Anna gasped. Earl looked down, hiding a thin smile. The storm had broken, and there was no going back. The farm was quieter than usual the next morning, but it wasn't a peaceful quiet. It was the kind that comes before lightning splits the sky. Bo worked the fields like a man walking through fog, every step heavy, every breath tight. Word had spread fast. Earl had whispered to the other hands, and by breakfast, everyone on the farm knew Bo had been fired. Some kept their heads down. Others glanced his way with pity. A few even smirked, as if they'd been waiting for this day. Anna didn't eat with her father. She stayed upstairs, pacing her room like a trapped bird. The moment she heard Bo's hammer ringing from the far fence, she slipped out the back door, her heart beating wild. She found him by the fence line, shirt damp with sweat, muscles working like a clock that refused to stop. "You can't leave," she said breathlessly. He didn't look up. "Ain't got a choice, Anna. Your pa's made up his mind." She grabbed his arm. "Then I'll go with you." That made him stop. He turned to her, eyes wide. "Don't say things like that unless you mean M." "I do," she whispered. "I'll leave this farm, this house, all of it. If it means—" Bo watched her go, every step pulling something out of him. The hammer in his hand felt heavier than ever. That night, the sky opened up. Rain came down in sheets, beating against the tin roofs like drums of war. Thunder rolled across the hills, and the wind howled through the trees. Bo sat alone in the barn, lantern flickering weakly against the storm. His bag sat by his feet, half-packed. He was leaving at first light, but his heart wouldn't sit quiet. It kept pulling him back toward the house, toward the light he could see in her upstairs window. Upstairs, Anna pressed her forehead against the cold glass, watching the rain blur the world outside. Her father had locked her door from the outside. Not a prison, but close enough. He'd said she'd come to her senses by morning, but she wasn't planning to wait for morning. She'd already stuffed a small satchel under her bed, a few clothes, her mother's locket, a folded note. She whispered to herself, "If he's leavin', I'm leavin' too." Downstairs, Mr. Carter sat in his armchair, staring into the fire. His jaw was set like stone. He wasn't a man used to losing, and in his mind, love was something to control, not surrender to. Lightning flashed. For a split second, he saw Beau's silhouette through the rain, standing near the barn door, looking toward the house. His blood boiled. "That boy's still here," he muttered, "thinkin' he's got the right." He stood, grabbed his coat, and stepped out into the storm. Out in the barn, Beau heard boots approaching through the mud. Heavy, purposeful. The storm outside was loud, but the storm walking toward him was louder. The sun rose heavy that morning, laying a gold blanket across the fields like it wanted to keep the farm warm. Beau had been up since before the rooster stretched its throat. He chopped wood, hauled water, and fed the horses with his head buzzing like a swarm of bees. He couldn't get Anna's voice out of his mind. That soft "good night" she'd whispered at the fence last evening kept replaying like a broken record. While he stacked the last pile of wood, a sharp whistle cut through the quiet. It was Mr. Tom, the farm owner, Anna's father, walking down from the big house. His boots crushed the gravel like thunder following lightning. He stopped a few feet from Beau and leaned on his cane, eyes narrowing under his wide hat. "Beau," he said slowly, dragging the name like it weighed more than a sack of corn. "I see you're getting mighty comfortable round here. Maybe too comfortable." Beau swallowed hard. "Just doing my work, sir." Mr. Tom stepped closer. "That's all you'd better be doing. I don't pay farmhands to chase after my daughter." The words hit like a cold slap. Beau's jaw clenched, but he kept his eyes low. "I mean no disrespect. You best keep it that way," Mr. Tom warned, tapping his cane on the ground. "Anna is off limits. A man ought to know his place. Don't make me remind you." Then he turned and walked away, leaving the warning hanging in the air like smoke from a dying fire. Beau stood still, heart pounding against his ribs. He knew what Mr. Tom meant. He wasn't just talking. He was drawing a line in the dust, and Beau had just been told not to cross it. That night, Beau lay on his cot staring at the ceiling. The stars outside blinked like they were keeping secrets. He whispered into the dark, "What's a man supposed to do when his heart don't listen to rules?" The night didn't answer. It just hummed its slow country song. The days rolled on like a wagon on a bumpy road. Beau tried to keep his head down, tried to let his heart settle, but every time he saw Anna walking through the fields with her white bonnet and soft smile, something inside him stirred like wind in tall grass. Anna, on the other hand, wasn't blind to the way her father watched Beau. She'd heard the sharp tone in his voice at dinner. She'd seen the way he looked out the window whenever Beau passed by. She knew trouble was brewing like a storm far off in the hills. One warm afternoon, she found Beau in the barn fixing a broken wheelbarrow. The air smelled like hay and sunlight. She stepped closer, her shoes crunching softly on the floor. "Beau," she said in a hush, "I need to talk to you." He turned, surprised but glad. "You shouldn't be here, Anna. Your father." "I don't care what he says," she cut in, her eyes flashing. "I can make my own choices." Beau dropped the hammer and stepped closer, lowering his voice. "He warned me. He's serious, Anna. This could get dangerous for both of us." She looked at him for a long moment, then whispered, "I'm not afraid." Beau's heart slammed against his chest. There it was, bravery wrapped in softness. He wanted to hold her, to promise her the world, but he also knew the world wasn't his to give. Then they heard footsteps outside the barn. Heavy. Purposeful. Bo's stomach turned cold. Anna grabbed his hand, eyes wide. "Hide!" she whispered. Bo ducked behind a stack of hay just as Mr. Tom's shadow stretched across the doorway. His voice boomed like a distant storm. "Anna, what are you doing out here?" Her voice didn't shake. "Just getting some fresh air, Papa." Bo stayed still, heart hammering, praying the hay wouldn't give him away. Mr. Tom's eyes scanned the barn, sharp and searching. Something told Bo that storm on the horizon was rolling in faster than either of them could run.